Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to another new running session. Today I'm going to be showing you some locomotives which have my favourite wheel configuration, and of course that is the 440 wheel configuration. I just love them, so it's going to be a good day for me. Anyway, I'm thinking I could do some more running sessions based on wheel configurations. I'm thinking about maybe doing another Pacific running session, a 460 running session. So if you guys let me know which one you'd like to see. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put up a little poll in the top right corner of the screen now. I'll put some options in there. I'll include Pacifics, 460s, 060 tender engines, whatever. You guys let me know which one you'd like me to do next, and whichever option wins, I will do next time I decide to do one. But today, as I said, it's going to be all about 440s, and so I hope you're really going to enjoy it. I've chosen 6 of the nicest, and also 6 that I haven't run for a little while on the channel. So let's get started, and I hope you all have fun. I know I'm going to. Okay, here's the first one. So we're kicking off today at the turntable with a loco that I've never run on the channel before, and it's this, the very, very beautiful Bachmann Midland Compound. Now, of course, I have run lots of Midland compounds on the channel before, but they've all been the Hornby Railroad ones. And as nice as those are, this one is definitely better. It runs absolutely beautifully, and the detail is absolutely superb. So, yeah, I just couldn't resist getting her to run today. And it's always nice to have little debuts on the channel from time to time. So this is hers. Anyway, let's get her onto the turntable. Oh, in fact, I better show you what she's pulling. So, all the way onto the inside line, there is a small rake of LMS coaches, which I think should look lovely with her. They're the maroon ones, as you can tell. But of course she's got to shunt herself all the way down to those to get coupled to them. So I'm going to get her onto the turntable where she's got to turn around. So let's do that to start with. Not sure which direction she's set to go in. Oh, that's a good sign. Very carefully get her onto there, and let me just adjust the camera so that you can actually see where she is. And she is going to be needing to reverse onto her coaches, so I'm going to use the turntable right now just to turn her all the way around. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I think she's in position. I'm hoping she'll get off there okay, because sometimes there is a bit of rickety behaviour going on the turntable. But we've got to try these things. So as I reverse her off and as I go and get her to meet her coaches, I'm going to give you a little bit of history on the compounds. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. So these were also known as the Midland Railway 1000 class, and these started life in 1902 when just 5 3-cylinder compounds were produced by Samuel Johnson for passenger work. Richard Dealey afterwards then further developed the locomotives before they were eventually rebuilt completely by Henry Fowler. The class was very successful, and when the LMS was formed in 1923, the class was chosen to serve as the standard LMS express locomotive. 45 of the 1000 class were built in total, followed by many more of the LMS compound locomotives, which were essentially identical, so actually there was about 240 of the design built in total, many of which, I think most of which in fact, survived into the BR era. There is only one preserved now though, and of course that is number 1000. I'm not certain whether that one was the first one to be built or not, but certainly that's the one that's preserved. So there you have it then, the Bachmann Midland Compound in BR Black, a very lovely livery of course, coupled to some LMS coaches, so not strictly prototypical, but I quite like the look of them anyway. So let's get her started then. I'll just give her a lap of honour, just show you going round, and then we'll move on and get the others out. So here she goes. Let's see if I can do a nice gentle start. You never know if I can, but I'll try to. Yep. Let's look after the passengers again today, shall I? Although she did struggle a little bit on the points there. Okay, well she's an express passenger locomotive, so I'll give her a decent speed. There she goes. Look how smart she looks. There's just something about the shape of the 440 that I just love. And I always have done, it's always been my favourite. Okay, so I'm going to slow her down then and bring her to a rest. Yeah, about there should do it. Okay, so there she is, that's the Midland Compound, absolutely gorgeous. But now let's go back to the turntable and get the next couple of locos off it. So I've already mentioned Hornby's railroad range today, and it really wouldn't be right to have a running session without one of them, because of course there have been so many and they're still producing them today. So the one I thought I would run today is this one. This is the schools class. I forget the name of this one now. It's Dover, in sort of like a lovely, I don't know if it's malachite green, it's more sort of olive green, but very lovely nonetheless. So she's on the turntable right now, and parked sort of quite dangerously right on the main line is her rake of coaches. Quite a few of those because she's quite a powerful loco. So we're going to go and get her to couple to those right now. So I've just got to get the turntable turned around to meet her. So let me do that. Okay, she's ready to come on, so while I do this, while I get her coupled to her coaches, I might as well tell you the story of the schools class. So let me just move the focus in a little bit. There we go, hopefully then you'll be able to see her once she pulls onto the turntable. And again, I forget which direction she's set to go in, so good luck to me, and here's a little history on the schools class. So the schools class was introduced to the Southern Railway in 1930, and they were one of the most successful designs of Richard Maunsell. They owned the title of the most powerful 440 locomotives in Europe at the time, so I had to run one, I couldn't miss that out. And they were classified by the BR as a 5P, and I always say this, but a 440 getting a 5P power classification is absolutely ridiculous. I can't think of any others that got one, certainly. Anyway, the schools were quite unusual because 440s were becoming quite old-fashioned towards the end of the 1920s when they were built, and of course most of the 440s that I'm showing today were built long before that, or certainly designed long before that. And yet, these schools classes still replaced older 440s and were even a massive improvement over some 460 designs, which is all the more impressive. In total, 40 were produced over 5 years, and luckily still 3 remain in preservation. Okay, hopefully she's coupled successfully then, and yes, it's 5 coaches, so hopefully that will portray the power of these things in real life. Although, of course, in real life they'd manage many, many more than that, I would imagine. Okay, let's get her started then. Here she goes for her little lap of honour. There we go, and I think that's the favourite livery for me, the sort of olive green. I've got a couple, I've got a few in BR and I've got a malachite one, but I think that's my favourite. I get a lot of kids sometimes saying that this is the only way that school can be fun. And I think I'd probably agree. Absolutely beautiful. And don't forget, we're talking about 50 quid here for this. I think that's roughly what I paid, sometimes less. I mean, value for money, it's just superb on them. Okay, let's see if I can do a nice gentle stop then, and I'm going to try to stop her just ahead of the compound so I can get a close-up of her. Alright, so there you have it, 2 very different locos of course, but they're both beautiful, so they're similar in that sense. Okay, so there she is, there's Dover, very, very lovely, and she'll be running again in just a second. But for the last time today then, let's go back to the turntable and grab the last loco from it. Okay, let's do it. So I decided that I would try and get as much diversity as possible into this running session, and so the decision on what I should run for the third loco was quite tricky. I decided I wanted to run something a little bit old-fashioned so that it's not all modern locos, and of course we've already had a Southern loco and an LMS loco, so I was thinking LNER, Great Western. So I eventually went for this, which is of course quite an old model, not the oldest 440s I've got, because I have got some Triang ones, but it's fairly old. This is the original D49 that Hornby released. I think it would have started out as the Cheshire or something like that, but it's been changed to, I don't know actually, the Lincolnshire or something like that. Let me double check. Yes, it is Lincolnshire, and it's number 245, and it is tender driven. Now, I don't like tender driven logos particularly, but credit where credit's due, this one is particularly powerful. So on the subject of diversity, I thought I would change things up a little bit and let this one pull from the front. So bear that in mind when she couples up to these. This is my ocean of ocean wagons, as people like to call it. Quite a lot of weight there. You know, some of those are quite old-fashioned, so there's quite a bit of drag, but I'm hoping she'll manage them no problem. So let's get her coupled to those then, and as always, here's a little bit of history on the very lovely D49s. So these powerful 3-cylinder engines were designed by Sir Nigel Gresley, and they first appeared on the L&ER in 1927. They were also known as the Hunt class, since some of them were named after fox hunts. The class was intended to take over passenger duties from the ageing Atlantic locomotives of the L&ER, although they proved really not to be that much of an improvement on them. 76 were produced over about 8 years up until 1935, but once again only one of them has survived into preservation, and that one has the running number 246, and it is Morayshire. Okay, a little bit of a rough coupling there, but I think it did the trick. Hopefully she's now coupled. So let's put her money where her mouth is then and see if she can pull this lot. Okay, so I'm going to throw her into reverse then, and hopefully she'll manage it. Okay, here we go. So there you have it then, 3 very different models, truly very different models, but of course all 440s. So let's have a little run with these then. Start the D49 again, and she's going to be tired when this is all over with because yes, that's quite a big weight I think for a Ringfield. But she's fine, you know, no problem at all. Here goes the schools class then, which is going the wrong way inexplicably. Yeah, don't know how that happened. But there we go, no harm done. Get her at a good speed. And the same with the Midland compound. Let's get her going at a nice passenger speed there. Okay, let's have a running session. I'll give you a little train ride as well, and yeah, hope you enjoy it. And this Hunt is running on its original motor. I've not upgraded that one to a CD motor yet, so she runs very nicely as you can tell, and that's all under her own steam. There goes the schools class. Coaches don't quite match, which is a bit of a shame, but they're not far off. Now when they went under the bookcase, these two were running side by side, and they still are. That's good. Oh, they've had to part ways now though. It was quite an interesting effect. And the compound is on the shorter line, so she's come out in the lead now. But yeah, they're certainly going at similar speeds, aren't they? Okay, well, still got 3 more 440s to show you. You've probably glimpsed a few already. So I think it's just about time to move on, and I'll show those to you. So I'm going to, just off camera, put these all back into sidings and things wherever I can fit them. And I'll be right back in just a second. Alright, see you in a minute. Okay, so they're all back into their sidings and we're ready now to move on. So the next model I've chosen is a real beauty. As you can see, it's this 2P in the S&DJR livery, which I know Callum will like. So if Callum's watching, hello, hope you like this. I know it's not a 7F, but I still haven't got one of those in the S&DJR livery. Anyway, I really wanted to run this during my last running session, which was the pre-grouping running session, of course. But for a couple of reasons I didn't. Now, I'm no expert on the S&DJR Railway, but I think they were around pre-1923, so I think the livery itself dates back to the pre-grouping era, but the 2P locomotive was designed after the grouping, and then it was painted into the S&DJR liveries, presumably, which means that really it wouldn't have been strictly correct to have run this during the pre-grouping running session, although I may have gotten away with it, but I decided I wouldn't just because people might have got on at me about that, so I didn't do it, but here she is now anyway. She's certainly a 440, so she can definitely run in this session. She's just got 3 Pullman coaches there, not a massive load for her because I just think it looks nicer with a smaller load. So let's open these points then, just that one. Hopefully that should do it. And let's get her out of there. I don't know which direction she's set to go in, but if she goes forwards, she'll smash into the buffers. So let's hope she's going back. Yep, she is. Oh, that's good. That's the second time I did that properly today. Now these Pullmans are a nightmare on the points, I don't mind telling you, so we may or may not get away with this. Sounds good so far. Okay, let me just switch the points back again. There you go, magic edit, and let's bring her back forwards. And if she's still got all of her coaches, that means it worked. Yep, they're all still there. Okay, here's a little bit of history then on the very beautiful 2Ps. So introduced in 1928, the 2P was designed by Sir Henry Fowler and was intended for light passenger duties. The 2P was in fact based on a previous design from the Midland Railway in the form of Samuel Johnson's 483 class. The class was produced between 1928 and 1932, during which time 138 were built in total. Withdrawal began in the early 1950s, and by 1962 all were removed from service to be scrapped, and very sadly none were saved. Okay, so she's a beauty, as you can tell. Let me just stop her there. I don't know if she's in the shot. No, not really. Anyway, here's a close-up. So you might remember this loco actually used to be on DCC, but I actually de-chipped her, and I realised recently that, to be honest with you, I don't really enjoy DCC that much. I don't know if Hornby's Railmaster is to blame for that. I think partly. But to be honest with you, I just find it much more fun to control these things on DC. Now, obviously, I do love the DCC sound locos, and I do enjoy those, so obviously they will be staying on DCC. But for some of my locos, this one, for example, this 2P, I found that I just wasn't running her very often because it was too much faff to get Railmaster to work properly and get it all set up. So I thought, you know, never mind, let's just get rid of the chip. I can sell the decoder or use it in something else, and then I'll use the loco more. And I'm glad I have, because she is beautiful to run. So there's the 2P. Let's move on then to the next siding, and I will get the 5th loco of the day out. Okay, so the next one is another loco from the Southern Railway, and it's this very, very beautiful T9 440. It is in a Southern green livery, but technically speaking it is British Railways because it's got British Railways on the tender. Anyway, I'm a bit concerned about this because this is the first time she is going to be running properly on the channel since I did that motor modification and put the new motor into her, so I'm really, really hoping she's not going to break down today and that she's going to run just fine. But of course, if she does, if there is any trouble, I will have to swap her with the Southern Black version that I've also got. So fingers crossed though, this one will be okay. Anyway, she's got a little bit of a mixed train, keeping in the spirit of doing things a bit different today. So she's got some Southern Railway cattle vans, or yeah, cattle vans, I think that's the right term for it, which you can't see too great inside the shed. And then a couple of Southern Railway passenger coaches at the back there, which should look lovely with her. But for now, let's get her started then. Let me just open that point. Yep. That's that open, and let me give her some juice, and hopefully, fingers crossed, she's going to run just fine. Well, she seems okay to me, so touch wood she will be. I want her to be on the middle line though, and she's just approaching, so I'm going to open up these points. There we go. And I might as well swap controllers now so that she doesn't crash to a halt as soon as I shut the points again. There we go. Oh, that was smooth. She was even set to go the right way again. Very nice. Okay, here's a little bit of history then on the beautiful T9s. Originating on the LSWR to the design of Dougal Drummond, the T9 was introduced in 1899 and they were intended for passenger work, and a total of 66 were built over about 3 years. These locomotives served for many years and were eventually incorporated into the Southern Railway in 1923, where they continued in service until the beginning of their withdrawal towards the end of steam. Some of the class received an overhaul during World War II, and those were painted into wartime black. Only one was preserved, and it is at the NRM. It's number 120, I think, but sadly the rest of them were scrapped. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with that. She's definitely got some of her old smoothness back, so super happy with that. So there she is then, my fantastic T9. I do love her, and I'm so pleased to see her working properly again. Number 30119, absolutely beautiful, and yeah, just raring to go. So she'll be running again in just a second. But now we're there, we're at the last loco of the day. I'm going to get it out for you, I'm going to show it to you, and then of course we'll have a final run with this lot, and I'll also show you some more honourable mentions. Okay, let's get to it. And the last loco is this absolutely superb, beautiful D16. Now to start with, I wasn't going to include the D16 in this running session because I thought I'd just run it too much. And I have. The D16 has run loads and loads in my recent running sessions over the last year or so. But then I thought, well, yeah, but that's the green version. I haven't really run my my LNER black version all that much. And so I thought I would. So here we go, there she is, the LNER black version, and she's coupled to some ex-LNER coaches. Now obviously because she's in the LNER livery, the teak coaches might have been more suited to her, but I just thought that the blood and custard went more nicely with the black, and so that was it. I decided I would do it. Anyway, this one's absolutely beautiful. I still need to review her because she's got so much character. I really think she has. So let's get her started. Let me open up these points. That one's okay. This one just needs opening. There we go. And here's a little bit of power to her then, and we'll see if she manages those coaches. And of course she will, because she's super, super heavy. So here she comes very steadily, making her way through the sidings and out onto the main line where she's going to be running. So I'll get some shots of her running around the room, of course, and here's a little bit of history on the D16, or the Claude Hamiltons, as they're also known. So this class started life in 1900 when locomotive Claude Hamilton was produced, and she was designed by James Holden for the GER. Over 120 of these locomotives were produced between 1900 and 1923, although with many variations along the way. And the ultimate development was classified as H88, which eventually became the D16s, also known as the Super Claudes. This class was very, very grand looking. It featured a hidden cylinder layout, powered reversing gear, and an extremely spacious cab. When the LNER owned the class, after 1923 of course, the H88s were reclassified to D16 and given LNER green paint jobs. Sadly, all of the original locomotives were scrapped and none survived into preservation, but I have heard that there may be a replica being built, so maybe we'll see one run again, who knows. Well, there was loads more wheel slip than I was expecting up Gordon's Hill, but that was solved really after I sped her up a bit. But anyway, let's get these guys running alongside her then, so let's start up the T9. There she goes, fantastic. And of course the 2P. Almost called it a P2 then, couldn't have been more wrong. Okay, enjoy the running session. So you've now seen all the locos that I'm going to run today. Of course I will show you some more at the end, just ones that I wanted to show but obviously didn't have time to. But you've seen all the ones that are going to run anyway, so I'll put up a poll so you can decide which one was your favourite. And I'll post on Facebook and Twitter, probably tomorrow morning, the winner. So that'll be interesting. See how that D16 manages on Gordon's Hill. Yep, still a bit of a struggle to be honest with you, but nowhere near as bad at that higher speed. There's the lovely T9, such an old-fashioned look to that. Yep, definitely love the designs of Drummond, and of course the M7s were the same. There's the 2P. I suppose I ought to decide which has been my favourite. Ooh, that's tricky. Very, very tricky. Well, I like the T9, but I also like that D16, so... let's go with the T9 then. It's not a big deal. But then again, I love the 2P, especially in the S&DJR livery. I love the new Bachmann compound that I got. I've actually been a big fan of nearly all the engines today, which is the way it should be, of course. Yes, the livery on this S&DJR 2P is definitely something special, though. Very, very nice idea on the part of Hornby that to do. I love it. And if I just pull the focus right in, you're about to get the T9 coming into shot. Which again, quite nice to see a mixed train, I think, but obviously in real life I think the coaches would have gone next to the locomotive, and the grimy goods, especially cattle, would have gone at the back. In fact, I suppose most passengers would be offended by sharing a train with cattle. But you know, this is a time of austerity. We can't be messing around putting on false airs and things. Okay folks, well that will just about do it for the running today then, so now I'm just going to show you a handful of other 440 locomotives which I absolutely love, but decided not to show today for various reasons. So let's go up to the table and I will show you those. I'll just let these two guys run by. The D16 is the winner today for the passenger service. Definitely no late passengers today, except when it was wheel slipping on Gordon's Hill. Okay, here are the honourable mentions then. So here they are then, 4 other locos that I chose from my collection, which I thought deserved a mention. So the first one over there on the left is a Duke Dog, or an Earl class, and I really love these because they look so nice and old-fashioned, although that old-fashioned look to them is completely artificial. They were designed, I think, in the 1930s, which is actually, you know, quite late. But they were designed to look old-fashioned, presumably to invoke a bit of nostalgia in passengers and bring a little bit more traffic to the Great Western. But anyway, very lovely. I decided I wouldn't run this one because I seem to always run her whenever I get the chance, so I thought I would give her a break today. I don't want to be showing the same locos every time. Same really with the City class, of course, she's done a fair bit of running. In fact, the last running session, the pre-grouping session, she appeared in that. So I thought I wouldn't run her today, but as you can see, absolutely gorgeous. Really, really lovely. And then number 3 is this. This is the Triang L1. Very, very lovely. And in fact, she ran in my first 440 running session, which I did about 3 years ago. Very, very lovely. I've always loved that one. But, you know, I could only choose 6, so she wasn't one this time. And then finally then, this is a D11. This one is number 62677. Edie or Eddie Ochiltree. And again, I thought I'd ran the D11 last time. Not this one, admittedly, the Great Central Green. But again, I thought I would let some other classes have a chance to be shown. But nonetheless, 4 gorgeous locos, which I thought I had to show you. So there they are. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's running session. If you did, as always, feel free to leave the video a like or even a comment. And feel free to check out my Facebook and Twitter pages as well. And I think that's all I've got to say. So as always, thank you for your company. I've really enjoyed it. Hope you have as well. And I'll see you soon. Cheers, everybody.